Welcome to El Camino Pride Week with our keynote, Miss Barbie-Q. My name is Giancarlo Fernandez, and today Miss Barbie-Q will be giving a talk about resiliency through the theme, We Were Built for This. Some topics might be triggers, and if so, we completely support your decision to leave the call. Miss Barbie-Q has been gracious enough to donate their time. Therefore, please help support them by dropping a tip at Venmo at capital MJ-BROWN. Also, we encourage everyone to wave their pride flags and show support in any way they can. To avoid background noise, you will be muted during the talk. However, during the Q&A, you will be able to unmute yourself. You may also post questions in the chat box. That being said, let's get started. Again, happy El Camino Pride Week. I am excited to have you all here today. We have the most amazing, talented keynote speaker today. From drag performance artists to event hosts, storyteller, and panelists, they have been in the entertainment for over 2 decades and identifies as a trans femme non-binary gender nonconformist, bringing more visibility through the theater, film, television, and other mediums. They have done 2 solo shows, have worked with the Hollywood Fringe Festival as well. They have worked with artists such as Lady Gaga, Alexandra Billings, Rain Valdez, Taylor Mack, Rael, Bus Driver, Tokyo Motel, Jackie Beat, Jinx Monsoon, Raja, Tammy Brown, Zachary Drucker, and Austin Young. They have been panelists for events such as the Outfits Trans Summit, Trans Pride, This Way Out, and the Western Arts Alliance. They're on the board for LA LGBT Arts Alliance and Gender Justice LA. They have hosted many events with companies such as The Mill, One Archives, Gay Freedom Band, Meals on Wheels, A's Life Cycle, Downtown LA Proud Fest, and Grand Parks Proud Stories. They just recently joined Drag Queen Storytime doing stories at libraries around Los Angeles and the Trans Chorus of Los Angeles with a successful commercial holiday campaign with Pantene and Glad. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to present Ms. Barbie-Q.
Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. Oh my goodness. It is always so interesting when someone actually reads my whole, my intro and stuff. Usually they skip over stuff, but thank you. Thank you, Giancarlo. Thank you, GSA. Thank you, everyone, for taking time to be here. I'm gonna put my paper down right quick. I know we're hurting right now, and I wanted to take a moment to have a moment of silence for George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Tony McDade, a trans man, and the most recent fallen in our trans community. Just want to take a moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, if everyone can just take a deep breath and breathe it out. Take another one, honey. I know I need it. Breathe in and breathe out. Okay. All right. I wrote it. I wrote everything down. I'm really excited. Okay. Trigger warning. We've already talked about trigger warnings, but I'll say it again. The speech may contain things that may trigger feelings. Know that it is normal, and I hope that you reach out and talk to someone about them so that you can heal. Okay. I want to thank the Camino College and the Gender Sexuality Alliance for asking me to be the keynote speaker. I'm flattered that I was thought of and asked. It means a lot to me when people see my work and understand what I'm doing or trying to do. I identify as trans femme non-binary. I am a drag queen, activist, storyteller, and host. When I was asked to speak for this event, I kept wondering what to talk about. Can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up? Okay. What could I say in the middle of a pandemic and racial protests that will give hope and give light to the future? Well, I think we need to know where we have been, where we are now, and where we can create a future. And in the middle of the night, it came to me. So I wrote this letter. Dear LGBTQIA family, you are strong, you are brilliant, You are light. Understand all the things that are going on right now, all the heartache and fear that has been in your feeds and postings and emails. Let me remind you, in case you may have forgotten, you were built for this. I know. I know it may sound confusing at first to hear. Built to handle a pandemic, built to handle discrimination, built to handle being harassed, excluded, and not understood. And I say this with love and all the strength in my being, honey. A sounding yes. You have been past a thick skin that has survived rocks and bottles being thrown at them. You have been past a resilience that allows us to laugh through tears, baby. You have been past the figurative ostrich feather boa, honey, that you can wear out and be proud. You are brilliant, and never let anyone tell you differently. Never let someone who thinks, never let what someone thinks you can do deter you from your dreams. You are at a place in your life that your education, along with knowing yourself, will allow you to fly. It wasn't always like that, not at least for me. I grew up the oldest of 6 children in Pomona, California. We came from a domestic violent household. My stepdad used to hit my mother in front of us and hit me because I wasn't his child. I was called stupid, fat, ugly, worthless, dumb, lazy. I was called it so many times, I believed it. When my mother got the courage to escape, my mother instilled in us that we are a Black family and we will go to college, if not higher. I am proud to say that all of us have a BA or higher in my blood family. But the name calling and the constant outing of who I am before I even knew what was there, I got called a sissy, faggot, girl, punk from a young age, and moving schools or neighborhoods didn't change that. It followed me. Like a dark cloud was following me. And I tried so hard to look on paper at least. I thought if I looked good on paper, you wouldn't see the color of my skin, see that I was effeminate, see the flaws that I saw as liabilities. You would see me as the capable human being I felt I was. So I threw myself in school. I read every book I could get my hands on. I got A's in class, raised my hand. I kept my nose to the grindstone. I had already had my major picked out when I was in the 8th grade. Yeah, I was that kid. I know it may sound pretentious, but my mother said school was a stepping stone to college, and names and how they treat you mean nothing. The last part was the hardest part of school. How they treated me meant everything. The parties I wasn't invited to, the cliques and groups I was never quite a part of. I knew everyone at school, but no one really knew me. I was scared of being judged and thought they wouldn't understand me. I barely understood myself, honey. So I went through high school playing the part of the good student, never ditching, going to the right clubs and making sure I looked good on a resume. I graduated with a 3.7 GPA and was elected the class speaker. In honor, I never even knew the people saw in me. It was right after the class valedictorian and salutatorian. It was an honor voted by the senior class. I went to Cal State Fullerton in 1989, I know, before some of y'all were even born. I came out in 1993 after I moved off campus and was doing drag in clubs in Orange County, where there was no marriage equality, y'all. No RuPaul's Drag Race. No such things as words for trans femme non binary. There was some LGBTQIA presence on campus, but the acceptance was tepid. There was no pride anywhere, really, except for us existing in our own skin. I didn't know my own strength. I didn't know that my heritage of the queer community was being passed to me. I didn't know what I would learn that I can be who I am, wholly, fully, unapologetically. According to the United States Student Association, due to racism in the LGBT community and general lack of funds for programs focused on the recruitment and retention of queer students and students of color in higher education, resources for queer students of color are limited or even non-existent at most universities. More than 90% of 2 and 4-year institutions in the United States remain completely inaccessible and inhospitable to transgender students. It never occurred to me that in school I could, that I, did- sorry, it never occurred to me that the school can be a force in equal rights for us on campus. It was brought to my attention that the need for a cross-cultural center was in the works for the El Camino College campus, a place for LGBT support, a place to start those needed dialogues between all intersections of society. Queers and straights, cisgender and trans people, races of all creeds, a safe space. No, let's call it a brave space to understand what we know so that we leave in a better state of mind, having been heard, seen, and understood. Inclusive in all its forms, honey. Now, I got involved on campus as well. I was the secretary and president of the Lesbian Gay Bisexual Association on campus. I became the first Black and gay chair for the Association for Intercultural Awareness on campus. Yes, that was me. I love school because I was away from family and able to be free. But somewhere inside, I still felt like I was playing a part. This time, the full-time busy student. I was organized, outspoken, but there were moments I felt lost, like I didn't know what I was doing. Okay. According to the United States Student Association, due to racism in the LGBT community and homophobia in some communities of color, queer students of color are forced to choose one identity over the other. Queer students of color are often forced into the role of spokespeople for queer issues or issues of race, which leads them to being tokenized and overextended. Child, that was me. That was me. The imposter syndrome was real, and I had no clue on how to handle it. I had been a loner for so long, I didn't know how to process the feelings. And with my schedule of working and school and meetings, events, drag gigs, I got immersed and found myself unfocused. 1997 was a horrible year for me. I had too many credits, but not enough for a degree. The school was not letting me have another loan, so I had to pay for my classes. I didn't have the money, so I had to leave school, leave my job on campus, move back home into my mother's kitchen nook. It was the first time I ever contemplated suicide. Rutgers University, New Brunswick did a study on LGBTQIA students based on data from 7 national student surveys spanning 2015 to 2017. Included nearly 90,000 LGBT students across 902 institutions worldwide. It says that queer and transgender students frequently experience depression and contemplate suicide at 4 times the rate of their heterosexual and non-transgender peers. I was one of those for sure. But I knew that this would not be forever. I was built to withstand this. I had already suffered through domestic violence, harassment, homophobia, drag phobia, yes, that's a real thing, and racism. I knew I could get through this. My dear LGBTQIA family, I share this with you because I want you to know you are not alone. At the time I was going through that, I never felt so alone. I felt like a failure, a statistic. In the article, Attrition Risk and Resilience Among Sexual Minority College Students by Olivia Mancini, she states, dozens of papers have been published on attrition risks and persistence among college students, and in the more recent, a growing number of studies have considered the health, resilience, and retention of minority, non-white, and disabled students due to increased awareness of the salience of these factors. Sanlo, 2004. Absent from this body of literature is information on the attrition and retention of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender students. Although this population is at high risk for many of the issues identified in retention literature as predicators of attrition. I was built to go back to school. I was built to know I was worth more than I was feeling at the time. I was built to get up and know I was worthy. In 2001, I went back to school, starting at a junior college. Hey, junior college. I went to Mount San Antonio College in Walnut, California, and found I had not stopped my love for learning. I found myself involved with the LGBTQIA Association on campus once again, but this time I knew I was going to be okay. I had a certainty of what I was supposed to do, and this was to finish school. I got my AA in liberal arts from there. I transferred to Cal State Fullerton and got my BA in radio, TV, film in 2006. It is possible. And there has always been a history of our people standing up and making a way for themselves. About 2 months ago, I was asked to play Marsha P. Johnson in a play called Cholas Chicas y Chisme at the Casa 0101 in East Los Angeles. It was 13 vignettes about Latinx stories and history, and one of the writers paid homage to the friendship of Silva Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson. I was honored to play such an important person, trans activist, trans sister in our trans ancestor in our queer history. Sylvia and Marsha were the ones who stood up in the Stonewall Rebellion in 1969. After multiple raids, arrests, and harassment from the police, sound familiar? They stood up and fought back. They called it the shot glass heard around the world. It was a shot glass thrown through the window that started the rebellion. Marsha threw it, okay? The friendship of Marsha and Sylvia was legendary. Two trans women standing up to the police. And they took in other trans women, non-binary people, and queers into their home, providing any support any way they could. Know you were built for resilience and passing it to others. They empowered people to speak their truth. The passion for the cause was infectious. The sad part was that until recently, the cisgender male community, we still love y'all, but y'all didn't even acknowledge them as a part of the gay movement. It amazes me when people with privilege can erase history to their own liking. But my LGBTQIA family, we recognize them now. 50 years later, we're able to get married and get divorced, okay? Drag is mainstream, trans is known among most people. Non-binary is still finding a place in the lexicon of everyone, but we still have a ways to go. 50 years of LGBTQIA rights, and we are still trying to get a seat at the table in some places. Knowing our history, knowing that others have paved the way with their blood, sweat, protests, and tears makes me proud. And I hope I can instill in you that you are worthy of your queer heritage. My dear LGBTQIA family, I have found that the only way to improve things in my life is through education. Further, my mind has opened and to possibilities that I never thought possible. Since I was a kid, books were the things I could dive into and know I was safe. Knowing that there's so much I do not know when I went back to school allowed me to learn and ask questions, unashamed. Once I came out to myself as trans about 4 years ago, I felt even more free. And now looking into applying to get my master's in social work. The need for education within the LGBTQIA community is key. It gets us seats at the tables and opens the doors at places that don't normally see LGBTQIA people. It allows straight people to see us in a different light, that we can be doctors, lawyers, nurses, accountants. It sends a message that we are built for anything. We can adapt to any kind of environment, and we are capable in all aspects. LGBTQIA family, I would be remiss if I did not speak of the 50 years of history of the movement and did not mention the intersectionality we have come to. Intersectionality is the theory that overlap of various social identities as race, gender, sexuality, and class contributes to a specific type of systematic oppression and discrimination experienced by an individual. I got that from Google. The purpose of intersectionality as a theory is to identify how overlapping categories of identity impact individuals and institutions, and take these relationships into account when working to promote social and political equity. When I describe myself, Black, queer, trans femme, non binary, child of a single mother, oldest of six, grew up poor, college dropout, college reentry, drag queen, activist, performer, entertainer, writer, storyteller, producer, singer, actor, radio host, event planner, Californian, and so on, I am helping people understand my perspective. I'm also opening myself up to stereotypes and what people think of those intersections. It also opens up to people being able to ask questions. We were built to ask. We were built to question. We were built to change. We were built to evolve, because if we do not evolve, we perish. Understand this, my beloveds, that this first 50 years of queer history, we have the chance to make new history every time we wake up, every time we go to school and are visible, every time a child is educated on who we are, understands that we are resilient, we are strong, we support each other, we call each other out on stuff, and we were built for so much more. So I ask this of you. What were you built for? How do you think you can be of service to the community? How can you make sure no one else is oppressed in your immediate circle? Being built for this means you have to work at it. Work at making sure you get your homework done, take finals and study. And I thank you for taking time to hear me speak, by the way. Thank you. Know yourself. These 50 years, I hoped, have helped your generation trust who you are, trust in what you can achieve. So, I want to tell you that. I want to tell you something. It's okay. It's okay to be exhausted. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be mad. You are the future. You have the chance to change how things will go from this day forward. You have a chance to call people out on their racism and homophobia, transphobia, misogyny, and other things that keep others down. It's human nature to want to keep others down, but we can go against it if we condition ourselves, recondition ourselves. Understand that it's a condition and strive to be past it and make it better for those who are among us now and those coming after us in the future. We have a chance to make it right. We are built for this family. We are built to strive, built to achieve, built to preserve, built to dance, built to yell, built to organize, built to love, built to laugh, built to create change, built to forgive, built to hold accountable, built to create space that has never been created before. Question is, are you ready for that challenge? Thank you.
Can we get a virtual round of applause for Ms. Barbie-Q?
Thank you, guys.
Yay!
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
I'm muting myself for that. Yes.
Thank you so much. Sorry, my nose started running while I was talking. I was like, oh, okay.
Alright, that was fantastic.
Okay, my eyes were running.
Oh, thank you.
So following after that excellent keynote speech, we're now transitioning to a Q&A. For those comfortable, you guys are allowed to ask questions in the chat box, and then we could have Ms. Barbie-Q answer. So please, I encourage you all to ask any questions you may have.
You can also ask verbally as well. You just remember to unmute yourself.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Any questions at all?
I see Sue Bickford says, who you are is enough. a good message.
Yes, hi, excellent. I'm so impressed, and now I feel energized, but I'm too tired to get off the couch. Anyway, I'm an older person. I'm 58, and I came out in my 20s, and I'm just curious how it's been so interesting to me to see how things have changed with LGBTQ plus. And I'm interested in you talking a little bit more about what kinds of changes have been kind of powerful to you since you were younger versus still young, but versus now.
Well, I'm right behind you, sister. I'll be 50 next year.
All right.
And I'm loving my age, loving it. I guess one of the main things I've seen on the change is the acceptance of trans people into lesbian and gay spaces. Being a trans person myself, it seemed like trans people were mostly seen on stage, or we were always performing, but never amongst other activities. And now I'm seeing trans people being more visible within so many more spaces, in bisexual spaces, and gay spaces, and lesbian spaces. I'm seeing trans people accepted, in Dykes on Bikes and stuff like that, where it was seemed very separate. Like everybody, lesbians did their own thing, the gays did their own thing, the black gays did their own thing. Now I'm seeing across a crossover, if you will, of people going to different spaces and really allowing people to just be. And also I'm seeing much, since non-binary is coming into our lexicon, I'm seeing much more people, especially older people, because I grew up very binary. I was told you either be a gay boy or a trans woman, and that's it. And now that I'm realizing I can be right in that middle and thrive, I'm seeing much more older people are realizing their non-binariness, and now they're looking for community of that, which is beautiful. Because now, again, like I said before, once you know yourself, truly know yourself, your possibilities become limitless.
Excellent question. Thank you so much.
Oh, love
I'm really glad you said that, because I'm a lesbian. And as a lesbian, I'm pretty aware that some lesbians are pretty anti trans women, and I'm really disappointed in that. And I always think prejudice and discrimination within the community is so odd, since we've been the objects of it.
Well, it's talking about that out loud. It's talking about that out loud and really calling each other out on it. And I always say call each other out on it. Oop, everybody's getting the
Curfew.
curfew, honey. This week ain't going nowhere today. But it's really, really having those discussions with friends, and not just pointing the finger, but going, hey, where is that coming from? The bullies, the bullied always become the bullies, and we need to stop that pattern of where that comes from. And once we start putting it out on, I'm at the point now, put it on the table, honey. Mm-hmm. Put it on the table. Let's look at it. Let's heal from it so we can go forward. Because if our own community doesn't do that, we won't go any further.
Right.
We won't get in Congress. We're running for things now, and we're getting way more visibility. Buttigieg alone showed that an openly gay male can run. And that just made me so proud. But it did worry me on how closed off, was he open to trans issues? You would think he would, but it made me wonder. It made me wonder if he had won as president, would he have, been about trans people being in the military and stuff? And I shouldn't have to wonder that within my own community. I shouldn't have to, but we have to call that stuff out. Yes, wave that flag, girl.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi.
This is Dr. Sherry Nielsen. I just wanted to ask you, how do you care for yourself when you are not feeling, really strong mentally? And what do you do for self-care?
What do I do for self-care? I have a number of things I do for self-care. First is popcorn. First is popcorn for me. I am a sucker for kettle corn popcorn, honey. Another thing of self-care.
I have a great recipe.
Do you?
I can make it myself. Yes, it's amazing.
I am a connoisseur on the kettle corn popcorn. But for self-care, I've taken mental days off from work. Got enough sleep. I've been getting into going for walks with my mask, doing 3-mile walks just to like clear my mind. I have an altar here at home that honors a lot of my friends who have died from HIV, who have committed suicide, for my grandma. And so I'll light some sage or some Palo Santo and like walk around my space and burn that around my space. Part of self-care for me is also getting my nails done, getting my toes done. I've been going crazy without that. I have numerous things for self-care. Other things for self-care is I'll binge watch, Westworld or, the House of Cards or something like that and just like get immersed in that. Another part of self-care I'll do is write. I'm doing a lot of storytelling and doing a lot of that stuff, and I've been asked to be in these different events. So, I have different kinds of self-care, and I always tell people, find what works for you. If it's lighting candles and running around your house naked, just do it with the windows closed, honey, or not, whichever one. If your self-care is, being on a chat with 12 other people and talking about chocolate all day, do it. Start that group. Actually, I will start that group. That sounds good. but find your self-care. And in school, I'm not going to forget, as students, one of our self-care things at 8 o'clock, for finals week at 8 o'clock, we would all go outside and scream. That was one of our traditions at Cal State Fullerton. I don't know if you guys all have that here, but yeah, like finding those times to like get up, stand up, go have a stretch, take a nap. There's tons of self-care. And self-care wasn't even in our lexicon back then, but now everyone's all about self-care. So I say practice it. Thank you for that. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for your answer. That was wonderful.
Oh, yeah, we getting that recipe, girl.
I will have Tori send it to you.
Yes, please. Yes, absolutely.
So I kind of have a follow-up question with that, because I know a lot of being LGBT, it affects us mentally a lot, and just knowing that we're not accepted as much. But do you think that you having this this vital role in being the LGBT community, do you think that helps you when you're feeling down, like that that you're important to people?
That's a good question. Part of my self-care is also therapy. I recommend it, especially in this times that we have. I have a trans therapist, so he understands trans issues along with other stuff that's going on. What's beautiful about LA, California, is that there's a plethora of different therapists and stuff that we can find that'll really help us in that. There are moments, as fabulous as this is, there's still moments where I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. People don't like me, all this. And I've been doing this, I've been in the scene for 25 years, and there's still moments of that. That's normal. Depression is normal. Sadness is normal. Anger is normal. It's how we react to it. It's how we process it. If, are we acting out? Are we eating 2 pizzas in one night? Are we having sex with 20 people, in one night? All those things, we have to really look at how we're processing things and how we're handling them. And if we know that's not healthy, if it's healthy for you to eat 2 pizzas in one night, hey, more power to you. But if it's not, being able to stop and pause and go, okay, where is that coming from? And how do I want to handle that? Do I want to handle it right now, or do I want to put that to the side? We get to choose that. And I think a lot of times in depression, we don't think we have a choice. When we feel bad, we think we don't have a choice in the matter. We just have to ride it out. But that's not always the case. We can take action. Even if it's little baby steps, we can take action. Like reaching out, take action.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
MBQ.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a couple of things in the chat box for you.
Okay.
Let's see where to go. Oh, Twigs. Have you ever heard of Popcornopolis? And then another question from Tori in a bit. But first, Popcornopolis.
Popcornopolis is the bomb. For those of you who don't know, Popcornopolis is this popcorn company. They make this popcorn called Zebra. So you got me talking about popcorn. See, Popcornopolis has they put drizzle of chocolate on the butter on the kettle corn, and they make it fresh over at the Santa Monica Pier. And then they started selling them in the AMC theaters, which I can't wait to go back to. I love the movie theaters. And they start selling it in there because I used to just sneak it in. I don't care. But now they're selling it there. And so, that's good. You got me talking about popcorn, girl. Oh, shoot. It's so good. It's so good. Those who know me, get me Popcornopolis.
And then Tori says, I have a question for you, Miss Barbie-Q. What is your advice for someone who doesn't love themselves to begin loving themselves?
Oh, for someone who doesn't love themselves to begin loving themselves. I didn't put into my thing, in my speech, I was homeless for 4 years. I'm 6 years clean and sober. And in that homelessness, I thought nobody gave 2 rats butts about me. And the way universe works is that universe does nothing but to support us. So if we think the world is a struggle, universe will bring struggle. That's just how it is. If we think the world is a beautiful place, rainbows, sunshine, and we'll change our perspective. If you're at a place where you don't love yourself and don't know how, we surround ourselves with people who do. Surround ourselves with people who love us anyway. Even when we're crabby and cursing everything else, we surround ourselves with people who do. Because they'll keep telling us and showing us that they love us until we start believing it ourselves. Just as much as people tell people that they're ugly and fat and stuff like that, and I believed it, I have people around me now who tell me I'm invincible. I'm a star. I can do anything I put my mind to. And I'm a firm believer of affirmations. Oh, all those Post-it notes you got at home? Take some, write some cheesy sayings, put it on your mirror, on your door, put it on your phone, have it a reminder so it pops up. Have a reminder on your phone that says know your truth, whatever that is. And it'll pop up around 1 o'clock or whatever every day. And all of a sudden you'll come back to know who you are. Hope that answers it. This is awesome. I love this. More questions.
Amazing. Miss Barbie-Q, Elizabeth
Yes.
has a question too.
Yes.
What advice would you give your college self? And with what you know now, how would you lift up during the beginning of your educational journey while finding and exploring your purpose?
Oh, I would have cornered my college self and said, go get a damn guidance counselor. I would have cornered my college self and said, get on top of the path of your career. I was just taking classes, loving college, but me as a POC person, first person of going to college, I didn't have that that plan. You know, that plan they take you to take these classes, and when I wasn't passing certain classes, the plan got messed up, and so I just started taking whatever. No, I would go back, tell my college self, hey, you know, finish this, get on the plan, have fun, but stay on the plan. And if you're not, I would have told myself, go to junior college first, which is what I should have did. But it was instilled in me to go to college, not junior college. But now I think about it now, I would have gone to Mount SAC, El Camino, LACC. I would have gone to Pierce, one of those schools, did all my GE there, figure out where I wanted to go, and then transferred. That's what I would have done. So you all are in the right place.
Can I ask a follow-up to that? Why
Yeah.
why would you have gone to a community college instead of to a university? Like what makes that decision? And then I know that there's plenty of counselors in the room right now that are very much happy with the advice that you gave.
Why? Because it's interesting. When my mom instilled in us to go to school, she made university seem like the golden egg. She didn't instill in us that the degree was the golden egg. She said college is the golden egg. Two different things. Okay? Two different things. The degree is the golden egg, and where we're going to go get it, following the path that would have been less resistance. Dropping me into college at 18, 19 years old, this big old school with all this stuff going on, not getting a guidance counselor, I just kind of did my thing, and I thought I could handle it. I thought I knew, well, I'm in high school, I graduated 3.7, I can get this. When I got my first D, I almost lost it. I almost lost my stuff. But and no one told me, hey, it's okay, people get D's. No, I carried that burden with me and took it with me, and it just went downhill from there. So understanding that going to junior college, getting a guidance counselor, getting a plan going, having a plan A and a plan B and a plan C, you know, and then going there. If something's not working, stay a little longer. Something is working, go for it, you know. But I didn't even think to do that. Like, it didn't cross my mind. And I wish it would have. Not the flags, baby.
Hello, I have a question.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Sal, and I'm actually happen to be a counselor.
Oh, awesome.
So
Hi.
thank you for recognizing our work.
There's an echo.
Thank you for recognizing our work. I actually do have a question for you.
Of course.
So I actually been, you know, as everyone else, you know, we've been watching the news, we've been seeing everything that's been happening with the Black Lives Matter movement. And one of the things that it really is very interesting to me, how something of this magnitude, you know, has sort of, you know, triggered a nerve, you know, in so many of us. And so I wanted to know, because I have my own philosophy of how I see things, but I'd like to know from your perspective, why do you think that is? Why is it that this moment in history speaks so much, not just to the Black community, to the brown community, to the LGBT community, to the undocumented community, to every community that there is? Why is that?
Thank you for that question, Sal. One word pops into my head when you just named all those marginalized people, and that word is justice. It's justice. It's justice and fairness that those microaggressions and those slights and all those times that we've been looked over or passed over or not given or taken away. Don't forget, stuff is taken away constantly. Resources, money, you know, You know, our minimum wage is just ridiculous. You know, all those things just to make ends meet. The word justice comes to mind. And this COVID thing, I think just peeled off, you know, what was underneath, well, all the injustice that's underneath it. You know, yeah, so someone said access to health care, you know, making sure that we're taken care of, you know, at our workplace, all those things. The COVID thing, I think, has just peeled a raw nerve. There are people who don't want to go back to work because they're getting more money on unemployment. You know, that kind of stuff. So for me, justice comes up. The raw nerves are coming up. There hasn't been healing. Every time stuff has happened, Rodney King, go back, Watts riots. There hasn't been a really healing. We rioted, we swept up, we moved on. We rioted, we swept up, we moved on. We never healed. You know, we started some committees, we started some action, but then budget cuts came and stuff, and all of a sudden that goes out the door. It's always the first thing to go out the door. And bringing arts back to our schools, I'm sorry, that's a huge thing for me. When they took art, because when I went to school, we had band, we had, we could dance, we had all kinds of stuff in school. And over the years, the taking away of all that stuff, I think has left people with like, what do I do? And then they have to pay for classes, and they have to pay for extracurricular, and pay for all this stuff. We don't feel we're taken care of. We as a society don't feel we're taken care of anymore, but yet we're supposed to be grateful for the scraps that we get. And that's where I think a lot of the anger comes down. The anger trickles in is that wait, you took this, you took this, you took this, you took this, you took away this, we can't be in the military, we can't get married, we can't do this, and yet we're supposed to go, thank you very much. No. But question is, after that anger, what then? Where does the healing come in? Where does the healing? Now, I'm not saying not hold people accountable. We hold people accountable. Trust and believe. We hold people accountable. Those 4 officers need to be held accountable. But after that, where do we have healing? I have friends who are sheriffs and police who are queer, and I ask them, how do you handle this? And they're like, we're scared on both sides. We're scared with the cops going against them, and we're scared with people out in the streets. I feel as a Black trans person, there are Black people who say I should not exist. There are Black people right now who will bash me in the head right now. And there are cops who will bash me in the head right now. So where do I find that healing? Where do I find that peace? You know, and we have to find that peace from within. Get all the anger out. You know, don't burn down my Walmart, but get all the anger out. But we have to have a plan afterwards. If we don't have a plan afterwards, we're gonna look like nothing but a bunch of thugs who took over the streets. But if we have a plan, we see everything had a reason. I hope that answers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
I
you.
have a follow-up, if I may. I have a follow-up question. So one of my questions for you, my question for you rather, is how do we start healing? I remember in my queer youth being so angry at the world, and I didn't even know where to start to begin to heal. I just knew I had anger, and I didn't know what to do with it. So what is your advice for that?
I remember when things bad would happen to me, my mom would say, you'll get over it. You know, she would say, get over it. Or she would say, you know, maybe that just wasn't meant for you, or, you know, any of those kinds of things that really doesn't put in the sense of what's happening happens. Take it in, understand it, know that not everything's going to go our way, and that's okay, because it was somebody else's time, or it's not your time right now. And then we'll keep moving forward. What ends up happening is that we get stuck. We get stuck at what happened, what could have happened, what should have happened. We get stuck on, you know, it's not fair and all that kind of stuff. And we get stuck and we don't heal from whatever it is and move forward. We just get stuck. And I think once we learn how to heal that, and I did a lot of healing, you can tell. honey, you know, stepdad hitting me, hitting my mom and stuff. I realized he was a 32-year-old black man who served in Vietnam, who came back with PTSD. He didn't know no better. So he took his anger out on me and my mom. Granted, that doesn't mean I didn't put him in handcuffs. He still got in handcuffs, but he was a man who didn't heal. And I don't want to be that way. And if we look at patterns of other people where they haven't healed, we start to look at patterns where we haven't healed. Because if we don't heal, we will hold on to that anger and it will come out in other ways. All of a sudden, you yelling at the girl at the Baskin Robbins because she got the wrong ice cream. You know what I mean? Okay, ice cream and popcorn. But you're yelling at her for nothing because we haven't healed that, so it boils over. I hope that answers. Oh, thank you. That's right. If we don't heal, we will continue to bleed. That's right. Absolutely. And I feel like we're bleeding right now from COVID, from seeing Floyd and Brianna and Dave. We're bleeding all over the place. We're bleeding. But we have to be willing to put the bandage on too. Some people just want to bleed, honey. Some people just want to let it all out. But there comes a time where we have to start mending and healing. Anger's easy. Anger's easy. We can all get angry and tear some stuff up, but we have to learn how to heal from it too.
Ms. Barbie-Q, we have another question.
Yes.
In post-COVID times, what do you anticipate will be some of the unique needs for our LGBT community? Also, as a community, what are ways we can step up to meet those needs?
Ooh. I think the COVID testing is going to be just as normal as HIV, syphilis, chlamydia. I think the testing is going to be just a normal thing. I think it's going to be just a part of our culture. As an LGBT community, I think us checking in on our elders, making sure our elders are doing okay. We are one of the cultures that has not really acknowledged and taken care of our elders, especially those at home. We've kind of ignored them. Like our culture, the gay cult, the LGBT culture is like, we don't want to get old, right? Nobody wants to get old. You know, well, guess what? You're gonna get old. It happens. But we have to honor those people, and I think we haven't honored those people. And so checking on them as well as the youth when it comes to COVID and stuff like that. Being responsible. I know we love our prides and we love to run around half naked and all that kind of stuff, but we do have a responsibility, and I think it's time for some of us in our community to rise up. You know, rise up and figure out how our community can sustain itself and make sure that, because imagine if COVID was everywhere else, COVID was taking care of everywhere else but the LGBTQIA community. For some reason, we got COVID like crazy. Oh my gosh. You know, it's like we all have our own personal pandemic all over again. So it's going to take some planning. Big time. What's the other part of the question? Oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah, Chris asked, how can I begin conversations with close first-generation immigrant family members regarding their homophobia and transphobia?
Ooh. Well, that's a hard one because some of those are hard still. Some of those are instilled within the culture, especially when it comes to television, books on how LGBT people, QI people have been portrayed on television. For some, honestly, there's no getting them to change their mind. It's just a plain simple fact. There's no getting them to change their mind. For some, and those are the ones I hope, for some, we can show them examples of against the stereotype. We can show them that we're doctors and lawyers and dentists. You know, we can show them that we're a whole nother side, you know, of who we are. You know, I think the more I'm going to go get my master's in social work because I realize there's no trans social workers. Where are they? We don't got none. You know, where are those people at? The more we get into areas that's not just always LGBT centered, the more we can break those stereotypes and step into those places, and people will start seeing. Some generations, they will always just see us that way, and that's okay. They just always will. But if you're stepping on my rights and you're stepping on my constitutional privileges, then we got a problem. Any questions?
I just want to put a little spotlight on Sal really quickly because look at this.
I know.
Look at this background.
I know his background's crazy. I'm like going, wait, put your hands up. The pride comes up. You can see the pride there.
Yes, it bleeds through Sal.
It's like one of those scratch things, like those scratchers. You scratch the pride.
Yeah.
And you find it.
All right, that's there's another question, John,
yes.
so I'll put the spotlight on you.
Yeah. Is there a specific program that you're interested in, like programs known for their staff and faculty being people of color?
For me, for my school?
Correct.
I actually want to help trans art. I'm starting my own organization called Transcending Art. Trans is capitalized for trans people, trans artists, specifically trans artists of color, to help them heal and to give them a platform and workshops and nurture their art so that we're seen as profitable artists within the art community. I know that there's not a lot of trans artists who are put in a lot of spaces. There's a lot of gay artists, a lot of lesbian artists, a lot of bisexual artists, but there's not a lot of trans artists. And me as a trans artist, I've noticed there's not a lot of bookings for us. Do they not see us as profitable? And maybe maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I realize there's a need for us to have our own network. And so I've been talking about business plans, getting my grant, and I want to use my master's in social work as my thesis to work on how it is for trans artists to heal, and does that change their artwork?
Another question from Philip. How can we continue to follow your work and show support? Social media we can follow?
Yes, I do. If you look at my at Miss Barbie-Q LA in my little word there. At Miss Barbie-Q LA is my Insta and my Twitter. That's my Instagram and my Twitter page. And I have someone working on my website. I'm really excited. So I can start selling merchandise too.
I have enough barbecue merch.
I have enough time. Yes, hon. You want a barbecue mug? I know you do. I have enough time for like 2 more questions.
Another question from Grace. As someone who lived through the AIDS crisis, how has experiencing that impacted your view on the world?
Oh, it's interesting, that question, because not only have I lived through the AIDS crisis, but now that I'm sober, I'm coming across a lot of people who are dying from alcoholism and drug overdoses when the fentanyl thing was going on and stuff. And death, going to the other plane, like I realized that we come here for a purpose, and we fulfill that purpose, and hopefully we passed on something to other people. The AIDS crisis hit really hard within the Black community as well, and it was very difficult to acknowledge if a person was HIV positive, talking about it openly. There's still a stigma within marginalized communities about HIV, and And we were just talking about this at work, about how do we talk about condom negotiation, and how do we talk about people who like condoms, people who don't like condoms. That's a real thing. We went through the 80s and 90s telling everybody to wear condoms, and then there was a surge spike of people in their 40s getting HIV positive because they had condom fatigue. They got tired of talking about it. They got tired of using them. That's a real thing. And until we talk real about that stuff, we'll continue to lose people, because we really don't have to lose anyone anymore. So the AIDS crisis taught me about death. It taught me about unity. It taught me about, I did many performances for people who were in hospices and stuff like that. It taught me how to give back, you know, and not be ashamed to give of myself, you know.
Thank you. And finally, from Daniel Martinez, what is your opinion with the trans community in sports? I know some people argue that they are female or male, and others argue about the science and hormones. What is your view on that?
Oh, man. That's a huge thing about trans people in sports. That's a huge, huge thing. A friend of mine produced that one documentary about the trans guy who wanted to wrestle. He wanted to be a wrestler and stuff. My friend produced that. And one of the things, okay, I've been on hormones for 4 years, right? No one told me that my strength, because I thought I was a pretty strong person. No one told me that the estrogen brings down my bone density, which brings down my strength. I was like, what? This dude shook my hand. I was like, oh my God. He shook my hand. So testosterone and estrogen changes the chemistry of our bodies. So when it comes to trans people in sports, how a person feels should be the should be the section that they go into. That's how I feel about it. Putting a trans man against, you know, in with women when he's on testosterone, and putting a trans woman who's been taking estrogen, so her bone density is changing just like a woman's, and then putting her with men, that to me, that's unfair. That's unfair. You're setting them up to lose. So that's my opinion on that. These questions are amazing. Oh my gosh. I wasn't ready for them. I think there's more. Okay, there's one more, because I got a meeting to go to at 7:30.
So this isn't a question, but I do want to acknowledge Kathy's comment where she says, when speaking of caring for the elderly, your message is gold. It's also fair to acknowledge the organic disconnect between the two generations based on inability of the older generation to accept loving unconditionally is a necessity.
Absolutely. And there's an organization called Sage USA that talks about reaching out to LGBTQIA elders and unite them with youth. And don't forget the in-betweens, because it's the in-betweens that talk to the youth, and the in-betweens that talk to the elders. And we need to really learn how to branch all of that together so we can learn from them, so you don't make the same mistakes that they've made, and talk to our youth about their worthiness and knowing that their resilience will keep them going so they can reach the age of the elders. Because a lot of our youth aren't reaching up. They're not even getting past 30. You know, committing suicide and overdoses and all that kind of stuff, because they haven't had someone reach down and go, boo, put that down, pick up a book and go to school. No one's telling them that. You know, I think, okay, I'm gonna be a little controversial. I think sometimes we coddle our LGBT youth. I think we coddle them and go, oh, your youth, you know, here, you know, it's like, no, come on, you can do this. You got this, you can do this. But there's not a lot of us who's doing that. That they instill in them that they're worth it. They are worth it. And keep telling it until they believe it. Sorry. Soapbox down.
Can we get another round of applause for Ms. Barbie-Q? Show your
support. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you.
Peace and blessings. And thank you for all the tips coming in. That's so sweet.
We love you.
My phone's sitting here blowing up. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so thank you so much. Somebody put rainbow hearts in one. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. Okay.
I just switched out of the spotlight video, at least on my end. Are you guys on your end seeing everybody?
Yeah, I can see everybody.
Wonderful. Look at all. Look at all this wonderful support. That's all.
Thank you.
Sarah, remind everybody about tomorrow's event.
There is nothing happening tomorrow.
Oh, okay. The website.
Tomorrow you're all eating kettle corn.
The website.
Tomorrow's some zebra stuff.
Yes, honey.
So, the next live event is going to be the movie night, and John is helping with that as well. Can we just give a round of applause for John, our MC? So fantastic. Woo! But the website though has a lot of asynchronous activities happening. This is the 50th anniversary of Pride in America. June 28th, 1970 was the first Pride March, not parade, march. It was a march. And so we're celebrating that with history of things that led up and what has happened since. We've separated everything out by discipline to show you guys that queer is everywhere. And excuse me. And we also have pre-recorded panels on various topics, allies, LGBTQIA+, one that's called the Asterisk, about trans non-binary. And we also have, we have so many things. Like, you can get these Zoom backgrounds if you wanted. This was the launch of El Camino College's Queer is Love Scholarship Fund. And so you can go there to donate to the Queer is Love Scholarship as well, which will benefit LGBTQIA+ students at El Camino College. So, and there's an art gallery. There's so much on there. Just go, the website is awesome. John put the website in the chat box. So thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you again. It was an honor. It was an absolute honor.
It was an honor to have you. Thank you so much for being so kind and so willing and so wanting to do this through all of our exchanges. We love you so much, and we are so happy to have you.
Thank you. Absolutely. I can't wait to meet you all in person. Absolutely. I do have to go though, okay?
Of course.
Thank you. And I love
so much for your time.
Thank you. I love the recording to be, just send that to me whenever you have a chance, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
We've got you.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Bye everybody. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.